Would you? I'm not sure if it's the same thing, but would you liken that to what they call a feng shui, the settings up of cities and houses and things like that to produce a certain energy?
You mean like a sacred geometry?
Yeah, well, they have some of the, I think it's some of the Chinese actually will set their house up as far as their, chairs, their living room set and everything to produce this pattern of where energy can flow and create a tone. And I've also heard it said that their cities were set up in this fashion as well.
Well, these things were all part of normal engineering in antiquity.
Okay, exactly.
They've just become, with modernistic materialism, they've just become erased from the textbooks. Just like most of the knowledge of electricity has been erased from the textbooks.
Mm-hmm.
Electricity is very parallel to all this, and it irritates the same people, and they in turn make sure that the understanding of that is either destroyed or eliminated.
Mm-hmm. But they still have the information, the lay people.
Well, they're offended by it. So what they want to do is they just want to kill it.
Mm-hmm.
So, it could be the most powerful government in the world, or, whatever, or the richest, most effective dictator, or whatever. They can't avail themselves of this stuff because it's antagonistic to their very being. So all they want to do is suppress it. It is not available to them. So that is kind of like a protective measure.
Mm-hmm.
So if Einstein will, fight blue until he's blue in the face, none of this stuff is possible. And, you can actually cause one of them to go into violent convulsions by pushing the issue and, and logically and experimentally proving it, and they will not accept the information. They will just become more and more violently opposed to it, until there's some kind of short circuit occurs, and it's mutually exclusive.
Mm-hmm. Would you liken this whole conversation, what we're having, could this be the reason behind a lot of different energies and different mental experiences that people are having, the type of music and the type of sounds that they're around, the type of colors and other people that they're around? Could this affect someone's mind in their daily life? Do you believe that this could be going on as well?
Well, yeah, it all has a subconscious effect whether you want to believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And like I say, as far as, the advertisement world goes in the world of mind control, it is being engineered.
Exactly. I believe it as well.
But on a higher level, these people don't have that. They don't have access to that because of their own denials.
Okay.
But I can't speak in absolute knowledge of anything because, I only exist in my world, but this is the way that I view it, and this is the experience I've had. But that's not to say, there isn't some fluorescent lamp-lit bunker somewhere, underneath George Bush's house where this stuff's all being denied to a level that would just scare the hell out of them.
Yeah. Oh, I think it will. I think it would. I think whenever we begin to get some of the, just some of the crumbs of what's going on, it scares the hell out of us. But if we really understood the power and the magnetism behind a simple commercial, if we really understood the science and what what the commercial and the colors and the sounds are invoking within our own being, that music and that colors, and when we see those billboards, I think if the lay person who don't understand anything, when they come to an understanding of that, it would scare the hell out of them.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, there's an even deeper level because it's been asserted that, these particular species that I just referred to in their bunkers, and there's good evidence of this all around in the architecture of the things that, the instruments and vehicles and whatever that are created for us is there's a deliberate attempt to create some kind of demonic entity and to bring it into an actual physical being.
Yeah, well, that's why
we're at the threshold now. It's a satanic female horned entity. You can see its face in virtually all the architecture if you're sensitive to it. Most people, of course, are blind on the conscious level, but in engaging these archetypes is each person is becoming like a cell and like a large jellyfish of this spiritual entity.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the music that I've referred to was actually toxic to these people and can be used similar to the life beam tube for eradicating cancer cells is this music can actually, as you pointed out in some of the earlier examples, can be actually used to disrupt the archetype of this thing and cause it to dissolve, in my theory.
So almost like the control and the negativity and all that is almost like the lifeblood of this thing.
Yeah, it's there's an organism. In marine biology, there's a group of organisms that are referred to as hydrozoans, and they're a scientific mystery. The jellyfish is an example of one. The jellyfish consists of a very large quantity of individual cells. But there's something different about the jellyfish and those hydrozoan type animals that you don't encounter in the higher order animals. Is there's no veins, there's no arteries, there's no nerves, there's no central nervous system, there's no brain, there's no heart, there's no lungs. Each and every cell respirates and exists independent. Yet the entire organism moves as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the situation that we're dealing with.
I want to open up the phone lines for anybody who has questions and you want to talk to Eric Dollard. You can call. The number is 724-444-7444. You can enter the call ID as 78643#. Those in the chat room, it's going to be listed at the bottom. If you have a question, you can call in now. I'm thinking on a microscopic level, well, I don't want to say microscopic, on the level of which we see things right now, we can't see that entity. But if you was to back up and look at maybe the earth or the different nations from above, you could see this entity operating over nations, I believe. Because, I actually, read the Holy Bible and read the scriptures, and there's actually these entities which are referred to as principalities in the Bible. And it says that we don't war against flesh and blood, which is these carnal things that we can touch, taste, see, and hear. We don't do war against that. But it is a spiritual battle, and we wrestle with these powers that we can't see on a day-to-day basis, but they're there, they're operating, they're more real than you and me. And there's a story in the book of Daniel where the angel Michael was traveling back and forth between earth and heaven, bringing forth prayers and information and things like that. And he actually withstood one of these principalities. And in the scriptures, it calls it I believe it's the Prince of Tyre. No, it's actually the Prince of Persia. And this is not talking about a literal prince. It's talking about a principality, a power that is ruling and governing over this set of land. And I believe that that these entities, these principalities, are controlling a lot of people. They're controlling the vibration. They're controlling the information that gets out and all that. And I'm kind of tying this into what you're saying because it's making perfect sense to me. Would you agree with you talking about these entities and these different negative beings that are being summoned by the higher ups or those who are in control? Is it very similar to what you're talking about?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's a distinct possibility.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be that a group of people are creating this thing. It could be this thing is controlling a group of people.
Either or.
There's no way to tell which way the power flows.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's all too nebulous.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely there. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
It's becoming quite organized and coherent, and it manifests itself through architecture. Because basically, architecture allows you to get into a time machine or whatever and go back and actually experience through the archetype who the people were that made it.
Mm-hmm.
So every era, every culture, all has its archetype. So, the education system as it is, you get a lot of exposure to different things at an early age. So this is Egyptians, and these are, Russians, and all that is when you see something made by the Egyptians, or you see something, made by the Russians, it's immediately identifiable. Oh, that's definitely Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
It's not South Africa. It's not, Germany. It's not Persia. It's Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
It stands out. I mean, I've been able to do this myself, in my capacity as an electrical engineer when I started learning this stuff, just after infancy. the school system, I didn't let the school system take this vision away from me, is when I would see like insulators or circuit breakers or things that I was learning about or working with, is I actually saw the people that made them.
Yeah. Are you familiar with Dr. Emoto's rice experiment?
No.
Okay. You can, if you look it up online, you can just type in rice experiment or Dr. Emoto rice experiment, and it was in a documentary that came out. It's actually entitled Water, and it's called Water: The Great Mystery. And what he did, and he was showing the different vibrations and the sacred geometry that was formed in water. And you can look this up on YouTube.
Oh yeah, somebody showed me that, and the water started making all these patterns and forms.
Yeah. And then what he did with the rice was he took 3 different beakers and he filled them halfway with rice. He put water in each one. He labeled each one. The one on the far left, he said thank you to it every morning, and he spoke blessings upon it. Thank you, I love you, things of that nature. The one in the middle, he ignored, didn't say a word to. The one on the far right, he said, I hate you, you fool. Every day for so many days. And at the end of so many days, I forget if it was a month or what, at the end of this period, the one that he said, I love you to, looked exactly the same as when he put the rice and the water in there. It looks exactly the same. You can almost eat it. And the one that he said, I hate you to, every day, it began to mold. And the whole jar was full of disgusting, nasty-looking mold. And so you actually have a lot of people who are doing this experiment for themselves, and they're filming it and putting it on YouTube. I wanted to not just repeat the information. This was an easy experiment that anyone can do. So I started doing this experiment myself, and I'm 13 days into the experiment, and I testified that it is working, that these words and frequencies and tones have power. When you speak a blessing, when you speak positive words and affirmations over things, you're changing the DNA makeup. When you understand that your body is made out of water, you know what I'm saying? Your body is, 70% water?
Something like that.
And so whenever you're speaking blessings or curses to people, you're affecting them. So this is an experiment that anybody can do, to approve it. And whenever I get done, I'm going to film mine and put it on YouTube as well. So everybody who's subscribed to my channel, you'll actually be able to see that as well when I'm done. So I'm 13 days into it. It is working. So I think it's pretty amazing, and it speaks volumes about the different topics that we're speaking about today.
Yeah, and it serves as an experimental verification that we're not just making this stuff up or imagining it.
Exactly. And you can see everybody's video. I mean, it's working. The majority of the videos they're working, and they're showing you day by day progression. One
experiment similar to that was done with freezing water and then observing the crystals that would form in the patterns, like with snowflakes and what have you, or frost forming on the glass. It was the same effect. It almost was like a television into the archetypes of the sounds and energies that were stimulating the water as it was freezing.
Yeah.
So water has that unique property of possessing all kinds of inductivities, of course, electrical being one of them, but many other types of inductivities too, and can polarize into thousands of different forms.